Today we're getting under the hood of women's health with Lucy, a women's advocate and a licensed master social worker working as a therapist. Lucy will get under the hood of LGBTQ plus mental health. What are some of the unique mental health challenges faced by individuals in the LGBTQ plus community?
I find that trauma is a very strong experience shared by the LGBT plus community. Can be so much animosity and hatred thrown at your way for just existing. And while coming out should be such a joyous celebration, immediately the backlash that you get thrown your way can be very traumatizing. And a lot of interactions you have in your life can be very like, what's going to happen in this interaction? I don't know how I'm going to be treated. That sense of uncertainty can be very traumatizing. So I find that a really large, unfortunate effect can be trauma.
How does societal stigma and discrimination affect the mental well-being of LGBTQ individuals?
Oftentimes, an LGBTQ plus individual is faced with, you don't belong here. You're not normal. I put normal in air quotes because who is normal? But it can be very detrimental to hear that. And it can lead to a feeling of such strong isolation and such strong depression and feeling like the world is closing in on you and that there's nowhere you can find a home. And it can be such a terrible feeling, and that is the reason why suicide is more prevalent among members of the LGBT plus community.
What role do families, allies, and communities play in supporting LGBTQ plus mental health?
The concept of risk and protective factors in psychology. Risk factors are things that are detrimental to health, such as, feeling isolated, bigotry, prejudice. But those risk factors can be offset by protective factors, which is the really beautiful thing, is that any risk factor can be almost canceled out by something that can be loving and caring and, open. And with a community that loves you, with a family that loves you, with friends that care for you and support you, a lot of that bigotry can be dulled. A lot of the negative impacts can be supplemented by such positive experiences that it can really reduce risk of mental health concerns.
What barriers do LGBTQ plus individuals face in accessing mental health services, and how can we work to remove them?
The problem with mental health services is that they're not all created equal in how well they serve the LGBT plus community. And if you're not orienting from that standpoint, if you're not saying to yourself, we will make our clinic, we will make our organization friendly to the LGBT plus community, unfortunately, sometimes even just not thinking of that can be a negative, can be detrimental, because an LGBT plus person comes into an office, a mental health clinic, they want to see those rainbow flags. They want to see, declarations of equality. They want to know that you'll respect their pronouns, for example. So, and a lot of mental health organizations and clinics don't necessarily orient with that approach first. And so this person is already coming in with concerns, with problems, with crises, maybe related to their identity, maybe unrelated. Then they get shown, if not told outright, that this is not the place for them. And that compounds their trauma and makes them feel like there's nowhere to turn to. So it's very, very important to lead with that approach.
How can someone best prepare themselves emotionally for coming out, and how can others support them in the process?
When it comes to supporting yourself and coming out, I think the biggest thing to remember is, why are you doing this for? Who are you doing this for? Because unfortunately, not everyone is going to respond like you'd want them to respond. Eventually, someone may shut you down or make you feel lesser than, or even have a very pronounced negative reaction. So it's important to weigh your options and think about why you're doing this. Is it because you want to be your true self for this person? Is it because this person is someone you feel very close to and you really want to reveal yourself to? And it's important as well, I think, to have a support system or some way to support yourself in the case that the encounter does not go well. I think that if someone is coming out to you, it's very important, even if you don't understand it right away, to lead with love and say, thank you so much for trusting me with this. Thank you so much for telling me this. I'm really glad you told me. And to support your friends in coming out, let's say if they come out to someone else and they get the reaction they're not expecting or don't want, to be able to support them and build them back up just in case that encounter knocks them back down.
How does the intersection of LGBTQ plus identity with race, gender, or socioeconomic status impact mental health challenges and solutions?
Intersectionality refers to when someone belongs to more than one minority and therefore they face a very specific prejudice that's the intersection of both of those minorities. So, for example, someone who's LGBT plus and belonging to another minority may not feel accepted in either identity because, on one hand, the LGBT plus community has a lot of issues within the community, such as fat phobia, racism, ableism, but that other group might not accept them for being LGBT. So it's very important in this moment to be able to find a community within the community, people who respect and support every aspect of your identity. And that's why it's so important to have very diverse LGBT plus communities and experiences. Maybe pride events that are very specific for certain identities, etc. It can be very, very beneficial.
What are some protective factors that can help LGBTQ plus individuals maintain positive mental health?
Biggest one to me is definitely having a community and feeling accepted. So if it's not a biological family, it's a found family, it's a friend group, it's a really nice, gay bar you really like to go to where everyone knows your name. Anything like that can be really beneficial. And it's also access to proper health care and access to where you'd go in a crisis can be really important. Being able to have the healthcare that is, adjusting to your personal identity and adjusting to your personal health concerns. Very, very critical as well.
How can society better advocate for and promote mental health awareness within the LGBTQ plus community?
I believe that first and foremost, it's being able to put the community at the forefront of our minds and having representation. And I mentioned before, in terms of mental health clinics, it's important to be able to put that sign. People of all genders and all orientations are welcome here because that's an immediate indicator for someone walking into a place that they belong. It can be a very, very, very positive feeling. I believe that representation on our televisions and in our movies is very important. What are the romances we're portraying? Especially when it comes to high school TV shows. Do high schoolers get to see themselves be portrayed on TV? Do young people coming out questioning themselves, are they able to see that there are other high schoolers out there that are also doing the same thing, that it's normalized? I believe that in general, just being able to lead with tolerance and leading with love, as I've said many times before, being able to understand that just because we all aren't the same, that doesn't mean our differences don't make us beautiful. And being able to say, you know what, just because I don't understand it doesn't mean that it's bad.
Share 3 tips that support mental health in the LGBTQ plus community.
Definitely the first one I would say would be find your community wherever they are, go out, seek them, find them out, find the people that you feel safe around and you feel comfortable around and who respect you. I would say the second would definitely be, stronger together than apart. And we can work through our differences when it comes to the community can be somewhat divided in terms of opinions on terminology and identities, but it's important that we align ourselves together, that we can fight against, the larger patterns of discrimination and bigotry. I would also say that there are definitely mental health opportunities out there that seek to help you specifically. There are many clinics out there that are very oriented with an LGBT plus mindset, many therapists out there that are very oriented with an LGBT plus mindset, many LGBT plus therapists out there. And that is very important to know. It's just how to seek them out. And I would say, in terms of how to seek them out, do not be afraid when you're looking on websites, on ZocDoc, on Psychology Today, to specifically check the box and be able to say, I'm looking for a therapist who identifies as part of the LGBT plus community.